Now we have the second team IBAD-0105, Saim Farooq, Ahmed Najib Rahman, Nausheen Walid Khan and Wais Al Kareem.
Assalamu alaikum ladies and gentlemen. This is team IBAD-010515 and we are Wais Al Kareem, Ahmed Najib, Saim Farooq and Nausheen Khan in that order, presenting a case on Jim. Now who is this person? The case starts by telling us that Jim is rubbing his forehead because he has a headache and he doesn't know where he wants to go. He is in deep trouble and the case makes it absolutely clear that he's completely lost. And to top it off with even more problems, Jim also has a migraine and is thinking of quitting his job. Now why so? Jim is a production manager at a contact lens manufacturing company where he has just come back from a decision review meeting. And the results of the decision review meeting is that Jim is a poor performer. But if you look closely at the case, we see that that is not necessarily true. In the performance review meeting, Jim meets with Deb, Alan and Larry. Larry his boss, Deb from finance and Alan from sales. What the problem is, the issues that we see there is that the contact lens manufacturing company has a declining OTF and is suffering from an all-time high inventory, which seems bad. But when you look closely, you realize that they also have their biggest sales, their revenues are really growing, and the company is performing well in terms of sales. So when sales go up, inventory automatically goes up, which is not Jim's fault. The OTIF is also not Jim's fault, because when we look later on, we'll discuss this, the company uses the spun production method, which does not really let them control what kind of products they will get. For example, they make contact lenses, so the powers are not determined by the production facilities. What happens is they produce the lenses and then they see what power these are. Now, I don't need to tell you guys that that's a ridiculous method. So that is not necessarily Jim's fault either. But all of these blames are pinned on Jim because all of these people, they're playing the blame game. And the boss is unwilling to listen because his argument is this company has been doing this for years, it has been performing really good now, so why is this not performing well now? Up till now we have been performing good, so if we are not doing good, that brilliant display of Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong, which is highlighted in the case later on. And because of Murphy's Law, Jim is suffering from anxiety. So what are the results? This current scenario is this company, it's operating in a $23 billion market where it has a 4% growth every year. So the company is not really performing very badly. It's doing pretty well. And as we discussed, it makes spun contact lenses, the process which does not let them determine the power of the lenses that they will make. And they also make typical and astigmatism lenses. Now, typical lenses are the lenses that we all use normally. But some people, they don't have even corneas. So people with uneven corneas, they need to make astigmatism lenses. And hence, it's a specialty product, which will be later on discussed by Simon Maxey. And also, the case mentions that this company is the best and leading in the industry. So everything is fine, but still Jim is being blamed. Why? It also has 40% revenue growth in 3 years and has recently gotten a Class A ERP implementation, which got it this year, but then again, inventory has been a problem for them. So what are the issues at hand? Number one is that OTF metric is down from 85% last quarter to 80%, which is an all-time low. They're also thinking of discontinuing a product line, which is never really a good thing for a company. And in here, finance is also playing the blame game. And then they're also thinking about eliminating part 200 level in their bill of materials. Now these are the core issues that we have, and under this umbrella, these issues would be further elaborated on by Najib. Thank you.
So let's look into these issues in detail. First off is the OTIF metric. So the OTIF metric is going down, and there are several reasons behind it. See, the revenue is going up. It's been growing at 40% in the last 3 years, which logically means that their inventory will go up as well. The production control has no idea what's happening. they can't even measure the dioptric of the lenses until they're finished producing them, and then they're hydrated. And the production variability is at an all-time high. Jim suggests that we need more safety stock. But if you go with what Larry says, he says the products are incredibly easy to make and they have expertise in making them. Deb says they cannot afford it. They don't have the money to afford more safety stock. And Alan, even though his forecasts are 95% accurate, are in dollar values and not in SKU levels. Moving on to discontinuing the product line. What they suggest is scrapping the entire product line and all the inventory that's already with them. The problem is that's going to expire in 6 months, and if they scrap everything, they're losing out on all the revenue. Jim says we should put them on sale, but Deb says we cannot put them on sale because they're going to be selling them at below the standard cost. And finally, eliminating the Part 200 level. What they want to do is they don't want to eliminate the process, but rather the recording, so that they can save on the transaction costs. Now, the big problem is that there is a huge lack in the management coordination, which is leading to a production and investment.
This is an industry, if you look at from the supply chain side, it is not a very responsive kind of industry. It is a very efficient driven industry. So you don't really need that sort of safety stock, to be very responsive. You don't need to deliver something overnight. So the other issue was to discontinue a product line. This product was their top performer 3 years ago. Now they're thinking to discontinue this. The implication of this, it will be in the accounting system. So if they do sell it below the standard cost, we must understand the standard cost is just a per unit budgeted cost. It is an estimate. It tells us whether we have the conditions have been favorable or unfavorable for us. So it is not something that shows up in our financial statement. It is something that the actual cost does show up. So yes, Deb is right in that sense, that if I do sell them below my standard cost, then that will mean that I am letting go of the revenue that I have, and it is a very high cost of sales that I have. So, but if we come to think about it, this is money. This is, at least if I can cover my variable cost, then I can come up with a solution to solve my cash crunch that I have. Cash is king in a business like this. So I can solve the solvency problem, liquidity problem that I have. But then again, the high cost of sale will result in a decline in gross margin and will eventually affect my bottom line. This is a simulation that we did to show you what the journal entries would be like if we had gone through. So if we have $100,000 in inventory, which let's say someone agrees to buy $20,000, so that $80,000 that is, the loss is actually the cost of goods sold. And when we come up with a reserve of that $80,000, then finally when we do sell it, we debit the revenue, the reserve, and then we credit the inventory that we have. That is the accounting system that we need to follow. And in that case, we have two products. The Part 300 is the typical product, and the Part 400 is the specialty product. What the process improvement team is trying to do, they want to reduce a level in the bill of materials. This is just the recording of the level, not the level itself. So what they're trying to do is, there was an error in the case, but it was resolved in the morning. What they're trying to do is remove that recording. And when you remove that, it shows up something like this. It's not that complex. The total delivery, the project completion time is around 12 days for the specialty product, and the for the typical product is around 9 days. And we have a lead time for customers, and that's around 7 days. So if we do go through this, then this will mean that we are trying to reduce our transaction costs only and trying to straighten out the production process. And the transaction cost, well, it's simply the cost of performing the paperwork, the bookkeeping of an individual order. This is the scenario that we're trying to solve, the problem that we're trying to solve. But yes, it will of course reduce my transaction cost, but then again, I don't know what my transaction costs are. The case does not talk about it. And it will help me streamline my production, and the project time is not decreased even by reducing that level. So we've talked about some of the pressing concerns that we have, but what about the long-term sustainability of a business like this, that the variability in the production, how can we address that?
Now, Science talked about how we have a pressing concern. Looking at these alternatives that we have and the emergency situation, we feel that the optimal solution is definitely not to increase safety stock. If I do not know which SKU I'm selling more of or which SKU has more variability in selling, increasing my safety stock really does not do anything for me other than tie up more cash and more space. Moreover, we should definitely try to sell below the standard cost. If I do sell below the standard cost, I'm saving myself on the cash crunch, and I'm also preventing myself from loss of a lot of raw materials that I've put a lot of time and energy into. And then we do not suggest eliminating the level 200. The thing is, you use this level 200 for both the part 400 and the part 300. And eliminating this recording does not really change anything. It's just eliminating a transaction cost, which is a very minute part of the entire cost that is involved. Now moving on, we look at the plan of action. This is more of a long-term solution. We've looked at our core problem, which is a lack of coordination among the top management. So what they really should do is go for team building exercises. Here they should try and hire someone who will help them to understand their responsibility. And the thing is, when you come to supply chain, it's not just one person's responsibility. If somebody's doing something, the salesperson should be held accountable for how many units of sales he's saying. The manager should be responsible. The procurement department has to be making sure that all the materials that I need is right there on time. It's not just Jim's fault that they're performing badly, it's everyone's fault. And the team management exercises will hopefully help them to understand that it's everyone's responsibility to make sure that we do the best that we can with everything that we have. Moving on, we suggest that they make the best use of the ERP system that they have. It has been awarded Class A, but if you're not making use of it, it's not going to remain Class A for much longer. So use the best ERP system that you have and make sure that you're continuously improving on everything. Right, so make the best use of the ERP that we have. And then we suggest that they increase their lead time for the customers. And the reason is because this product, it's not a very responsive industry, and you do not really need to be providing your customers solutions at the very next day. So for the part 200, we suggest that you increase your lead time for your customers by 2 days, and for the part 400, which is a more specialized product, increase it by 5 days, which will help them serve their customers better. And then they can move from level strategy to chasing strategy, which is best for them because the change in variability of demand will really help them cover up these problems. And then they should shift to LIFO method because this will help them improve the accounting procedures that they have and reduce their losses. Moreover, they should move towards injection molding, and the reason is because as their sales are growing, the demand is changing, and the industry is improving, they really need to move to some other method where they have less wastage and do a better job of everything. And for the monitoring and evaluation, using the ERP, they should really look for variance analysis in terms of production as well as SKU units. And then they should also check on their customer service levels to make sure that they are improving the OTIF problems that they've been facing. Now, through all of these, we've tried our best to address the management coordination problems and the production and inventory problems, and we hope that this is to your satisfaction. Thank you so much.